everybody gave all week, and tonight, we obviously came up a few plays short, and it's disappointing. But give Duke credit; they made a few more plays than we did at the critical times, and ultimately that was the difference in the game. So just keep grinding here, go back to work, and be ready for state next week. But just made too many mistakes, too many bad plays, obviously too many penalties. So that's about the story. Really not a lot I had.
We'll get started on the right.
Bill, Duke's kicker Polino came in, I think, 68% on field goals. Did you ever think that there was a chance of a fake?
There's always a chance of a fake.
What do you think was the biggest mistake there on that play then?
That we didn't have it covered.
Bill, they were like 5 for 6 on fourth down. They hit some big third and longs. What was sort of the consistent problem you guys were having in some of those situations?
Yeah, we had. He stepped up in the pocket, or they hit a draw, up inside a couple times. So we did better on that in the second half. But look, Mintz is a good player, and he got us a couple times on that, third or fourth down. So we got him some, he got us some.
On the left and the front, coach.
Two quick ones on the touchdown down the seam to the tight end in the first half. The 4 offensive linemen, did that look like the formation you ran back in the NFL? And how difficult was it to ID who was eligible?
We just lost the tight end.
Right next to you, coach.
Yeah, Bill, you mentioned making mistakes, you talked about the penalties, it was 9 on defense. You kind of from your vantage point on some of those plays, what do you think? Do you think there was any sort of common thread to those mistakes, and how much of an impact?
On what are you talking about? The penalties?
Yeah, the defensive penalties, and just any common
There was
thread.
defensive penalties, and there was offensive penalties. I mean, we had them both. Like, we had too many penalties on everything. We had a personal foul on offense. We had 2 personal fouls on offense. We had illegal formation on offense. We had a holding penalty on offense. Had some penalties on defense too. Had penalties on special teams. It was just too many penalties.
Front row on the right, coach.
Hey, Coach, at the beginning of the second half, you guys went with the onside. What was the decision for that, despite Duke's offense being electric pretty early on?
Thought we could recover it, but ball didn't go 10 yards, so we weren't able to make the play. But there was some space there. We thought we could make a play on that, but we just didn't execute it well enough.
Second row on the right, coach.
Hey Coach, you were only able to win 2 home games in your first year at the collegiate ranks. Do you feel like you let UNC fans down in any way? And what is your message to them for those that may be listening to your comments after tonight? We're going to keep competing every week. That's what we've been doing, so that's not going to change.
Second row on the left, coach.
Bill, you talked about kind of improving fundamentals all season. I mean, it looked like kind of their undisciplined mistakes with the penalties and the tackling. I guess, what did you see from kind of fundamentals standpoint tonight?
Stein's could have been better, sure.
Second row on the left, coach. Shelby.
Yeah, just obviously a really emotionally hard loss for a lot of these players, given just it's Duke senior night. How do you pick this team up and get them ready for NC State?
Yeah, same thing we do every week. Once it's over, it's over. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to move on.
Far left, coach.
And Bill, I mean, first drive, electric, y'all go down and score. Offense falls kind of into a lull, and then wakes up again in the third quarter. You all take the lead late. Kind of, what were you guys doing different offensively in that second half to fight back and give yourselves a fighting chance to win tonight's game?
Well, I think they made some adjustments after the first drive, and then we made some adjustments in the third quarter. It's kind of football. It goes back and forth out. If you hurt somebody with something, then they usually try to do something to compensate, and vice versa. So that's just football. You know, again, Manny's a good coach. I mean, he does a good job. And, you know, they gave us some problems. We gave them some problems. In the end, they made more plays than we did. So it's therefore the result.
Third row on the left, Brian.
Coach, given that you're trying to build this program, how important was bowl eligibility to you and getting those extra practices? How disappointing is it that you guys are likely or not headed to a bowl?
Yeah. We're just playing one game at a time, not worried about anything in the future. You know, we were worried about Duke, prepare for Duke, and now we'll go for NC State.
Front row on the right.
Bill, when you look at 4 and 7 on one hand and then areas of progress that you've talked about the last 5 or 6 weeks on the other hand, how do you kind of juxtapose the two? Do you look a lot at 4 and 7, or are you just a lot more looking at some of the areas that you guys have made some movement?
Well, as I've said all years, a lot of things that we need to do better. And so at the end of the season, when that time comes, we'll go back and take a look at things and, you know, make some adjustments. Obviously, there's going to be there'll be some personnel turnover. You saw the seniors today that won't be back, and sure there'll be other players that, you know, they'll be transitioning on. We have players coming in, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll evaluate everything we do and always try to find a little better way of doing it, either more efficient or, you know, maybe it's a better idea to do it a better way than we're doing it.
At this juncture, what does 4 and 7 mean to you at this point?
It means we have one game left and put everything we got into that one.
Front row on the left pitch.
Yeah, Bill, quick, I guess, clarification question out there on senior night. Barry Green was out there for you guys as well. Is he planning on graduating early, and just kind of, you know, how is he able to kind of do that search?
Yeah, the graduation or the senior night's really based on academics. So there's multiple eligibility situations that may or may not materialize. That's all NCAA regulated, not UNC regulated. So I'm not sure.
Was that a situation where you kind of asked to participate in it? Or?
Again, it was academic. It was academic qualification for that. It's not about eligibility. It's about graduating seniors. That was the classification. Right or wrong, whether you agree with it or not, or whatever, that it is what it is. Like, that's what it was. So I'm not commenting on what any of those players' eligibility is or isn't going forward. It's players that academically, that was the classification. I don't even know what that was. I mean, I don't know what everybody's academic status is. That was done through the university.
Far left pitch, front row.
Bill, Jordan Shipp said he felt like in these losses that you guys beat yourselves in most of those cases. How would you describe it? Would you agree with that? And how would you kind of see those?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of games where we all feel like, hey, if we could have made one more play, done one more thing right, done one less thing wrong, whatever it was, that probably most everybody on the team feels that way. Every coach, every player participated in the game. You know, when you lose a close game, you know, we all look back and say, hey, it's one thing we could have done better, done differently, and that might have made a difference. So I think that's a pretty common feeling for us all to have. Yeah.
Front row right in the center pitch.
What made those two scoring drives work so well? What did Gio Lopez do well to make those drives go so smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Gio played well tonight. You know, he took some hits. He showed a lot of toughness, showed a lot of accuracy throwing the ball. Thought he made some great decisions. And so, you know, in the end, a couple times they took some things away from us. There wasn't much there, but I thought he did an excellent job of managing the game, making positive plays, and as I said, hanging in there against, you know, one of the best defensive lines that we're going to face. You know, I talked about that last week. I knew that they would give us some problems, and they did. They got a good group of defensive ends, a couple good inside guys, and, you know, like I said, we got them sometimes, but they definitely got us a few times too. I thought Gio really hung in there and threw the ball accurately, and like I said, showed a lot of toughness.
Two more here, Brian. Go ahead.
Did you intentionally have more planned runs for him this game?
I mean, there weren't that many planned runs. There's options. So he can, depending on what the defense does, there are multiple things that can happen. The ball could get handed off, or he could keep it, or he could throw it to somebody. It just depends on the play and how it unfolds. There are different types of plays. It wasn't all one play.
Two more here, Brian, and then Shelby with it.
Bill, even at your opening press conference, you talked about the Duke game. Obviously well versed in that rivalry. How
much have you been educated on the state game? And I don't think many fans around here would consider that even a bigger game than this game. Is that something you've had to learn a little bit more about than the Duke rivalry?
Yeah, Brian, I mean, I'm not like real smart, but yeah, I learned that pretty quickly. I understand the rivalry.
Go ahead, Shelby.
Last one?
Yeah, just, you talked a lot this season about tackling, how much you guys have worked on, emphasize it in practice. A few plays, or a few drives rather, for Duke were just like multiple missed tackles. Was curious just what you thought maybe the cause of that was today, just simple execution, positioning. Just what led to that.
Yeah, look, there's certainly fundamentally things we could have done better tackling. I mean, Shepard's one of the best backs in the conference, so I mean, you're tackling a pretty good guy. I mean, he doesn't go down easy. He's a very good back. So, yeah, we got him a few times, and there's a couple times we didn't get him, and he runs with good contact balance. He's strong. He's got good vision, and I mean, it's why he's one of the best backs in the conference. I mean, the guy missed a few games, but he's still got big numbers, which. If you give a good back some space, or if you don't give him a lot of space, I mean, those guys make yards. You made them against everybody. But that said, we'll still continue to work on our tackling and fundamentally, try to improve it. But I'm gonna give him credit. Like, some of those yards he earned. Some of them he didn't get much, but there's definitely some that he earned with his good running skills.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.